Chad, I think now would be a great opportunity to go into these examples and show what a good profile looks like. So when they do arrive, they're able to see, okay, this is where I need to be at. Now, I know we got some on the slides here, so let me pull it up for us.
Yeah, you can look at my LinkedIn as well as an example. But yeah, it's pretty simple, right? I mean, if you look at mine, there's a clear call to action in the header that points directly to, again, there's another header underneath my name explaining the problem with the call to action. And then there's basically a Calendly link. And the way I'm kind of phrasing this is not really a demo, but more an educational call. Like you have to think, if you have expertise, what can you share that prospect to where it's not like a demo, that they can walk away from that call with some sort of knowledge. And you should, whatever you sell, there should be that thing that you can share with prospects where they can walk away with something that's genuinely useful to them. And that's kind of the key, right? Is like you talk about this problem and you kind of set up consultation type calls, you know what I mean? Or calls that are not necessarily a demo, but of course it kind of leads into talking about the problem you solve. So yeah, this is kind of a good example. You tie in that website link with the headers and the call to action in the background image. And then, Dorothy, I remember you were talking about this in the pre-call, basically latching on to the people in your company who are creating a lot of noise on LinkedIn. Like if you have somebody who's like an influencer on LinkedIn, like following their content and prospecting the people in the comments or the company, isn't this something that you used to do at either your previous company or you have experience doing?
Yeah, I did it at my previous company, do it now still.
Yeah.
Right. Like Will's got a crazy following. There's other subject matter experts. Like when I was at my previous company, it was all about like collaboration. I didn't know too much about that space or like agile or design. So I found the subject matter experts in my company, as well as just in the space in general, and then would have conversations in those posts in order to then bring it into the DM and move it further.
Sweet. Now, I know, Dorothy, that you wanted to highlight these profiles and show how they're essentially being their own marketers.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar to what Jed was sharing, right? Like they show a little bit of their personality, what they're doing. For a lot of us at Lavender, right, we all have this little heart, this little wizard, and that just kind of associates the brand to these two things. So if you see a purple heart, anybody talking about a wizard, now it's like right back to, oh, is that Lavender? And so kind of finding unique things about your company or, what y'all do and turning that into like simple, maybe logo or icons for yourself. I find that really cool and like easy for people to remember. So when they're like ready for something like, a Lavender or anything that you do, they automatically think of you.
Awesome. And when it comes to this like little background here and you see this, the header essentially that will be on the profile. Yeah. What should someone focus on so that as soon as you get on the page, you understand, okay, I think I'm being led in this direction?
Yeah, it's just like that brief image that can help easily associate what your company does or what you do with, so for when they look at your page, they're like, that's a quick association. Like anytime somebody thinks of like a whiteboard, they would think of mural, right? And one of the reasons I highlighted Steven really is because Steven's a salesperson, but he's out here talking about agile, scrum, and design, and he does it really, really well. A lot of people talk about like, oh, you have to be in sales or marketing, and that's the only reason like social will work. But like he's selling to like PMs, engineers, designers, and so like he has owned that space as a subject matter expert for himself to bring in his own leads through social. And he's a sales guy and not a subject like, he's not an agile practitioner or designer or anything like that.
I see. So there's a lot of value in turning your page into a landing page, essentially, for people. And it all begins with posting and then getting the people to your page to begin with. And I think this leads to a perfect opportunity to share these results of the poll. It looks like most people don't post, right? They're not posting on LinkedIn and getting people over to their own page. Only 22% said yes, 26% said sometimes. Jed, does that surprise you?
No, honestly, it's a little bit higher than I had expected. It seems like almost 50% are doing it to a certain extent, but it makes sense. And I think a lot of it comes down to like, it's not going to be an immediate result. It's going to be a slower burn. Like you have to be consistent, but again, understand that you are the expert, based on whatever product you solve, and then use Dorothy's idea as well. Like if you don't have the clout right now, go find the person in your company who has the clout, because chances are there's somebody there who's got a decent following, and then just go look at every one of their posts and prospect the people in the comments, prospect the people that are liking, because they're likely talking about that problem as well. And that's a thing I started to do at PandaDoc with some of the people who were a bit further along in their LinkedIn journey when I first started there. So